Good afternoon. I am Mrs. Young and this is Mr. Mann. Welcome to the Gregory School's Poetry Out Loud competition. At the beginning of January, I asked you to think about your personal definition for what a poem is or for what a poem does. James Hunt, class of 2024, said, "Poetry can relax you if you are stressed out. Reading or writing poetry can calm you down." Johnny Yu, class of 2024, said, "Poetry can change your mood, can help you make a decision, and can make you laugh. All in all, poetry is a powerful thing." And Ava McPeak, 2024, said, "Poetry is a way to travel around the whole world without even taking a single step." During the next hour, you'll be given the opportunity to relax, to experience many different emotions, and to travel to many different places. Your peers have taken on the hard and courageous work of poetry recitation in order to gift us with these opportunities.
The National Endowment for the Arts and the Poetry Foundation have partnered to support Poetry Out Loud, a national contest that encourages the nation's youth to learn about great poetry through memorization and recitation. This program helps students master public speaking skills, build their self-confidence, and learn about our shared literary heritage. A total of $50,000 in scholarship awards and school stipends are awarded at the Poetry Out Loud National Finals, with a $20,000 college scholarship award for the national champion.
There is money involved in poetry sometimes. You guys can do this. Today we will determine one school winner and one runner-up from our 12, or maybe we only have 11 today because we've got one sickness, upper school participants. The school winner will advance to the regional competition that is held at the U of A Poetry Center on February 10th.
The performers today all won their class competitions for excellence in the following categories: physical presence, voice and articulation, dramatic appropriateness, evidence of understanding, and overall performance.
We are delighted to have with us three extraordinary judges who are generous enough to give of their time and talents. First, we'd like to welcome back Mr. Rick Belding, who was our business manager and then interim headmaster from 2010 to 2013. When asked to look back on his personal experience with poetry when he was a student, he said the struggle with poetry was analysis, reading too much into that which was not deserving and not seeing how some other poems could be so impactful. His experience with poetry has been a long and mostly tortured journey along the spectrum of the best of human thought and expression that he could understand, from Longfellow's Evangeline to Keats and Shelley. And finally, when asked to identify his spirit animal, he thinks probably a dog. He loves almost all of them, but he asks, could my spirit animal be a Ferrari? Yes, Mr. Belding, your spirit animal can be whatever you want.
Second, we'd like to welcome Gregory School alumna Kristen Sawyer. Kristen graduated in 2008. One of her favorite places on campus was Mrs. Young's room at lunch, as well as the old photography darkroom. She has fond memories of lunchtime burritos, the hammocks in the senior area, the walk for the Promise Fund to raise money for Sudanese refugees, running along the Rito River path for cross-country, and teaching at the Minds Alive camp. When asked to recall her experience with Poetry Out Loud, she said that when she was preparing, she felt like she was becoming the words she was reading. She particularly loves the poetry of E. Cummings, Raina Maria Rilke, Mary Oliver, William Stafford, Wendell Berry, and Sarah Kay. She defines writing poetry as the release of words that are too heavy to carry with you right now. Her spirit animal is a sea lion in the Galapagos Islands, flipping around, weightless in the water, or a hummingbird that needs to rest on a branch, or a horse so she can run through open fields. Welcome, Kristen.
And finally, we'd like to welcome back former Gregory School English teacher Cheryl Pickerel. Ms. Pickerel spent 2 decades, from 1990 to 2010, teaching middle school English in what is now Mr. Mann's classroom. Her spirit animal is a toss-up between a dragonfly and a hedgehog, but she insists on flying, so she'll go with a blue dragonfly. One of her favorite memories of life at TGS was acting out Julius Caesar in costume and celebrating the Feast of Lupercal. Ms. Pickerel thinks defining poetry is a bit like defining a black hole or heaven. She's more moved in her deep heart's core by poetry than by other gatherings of words. She thinks poetry condenses experience, story, moments, truth, beauty, with images that are so fresh that they startle and stick. Welcome, judges, and thank you again.
Also, a big thanks to the Gregory School English teachers who have spent January reading and writing poetry with their students and practicing poetry recitation. Ms. Langenpeck today will be serving as our prompter, and Mr. Nielsen will serve as our judge of accuracy. Thank you.
And here's how the program will work. Each participant will recite 2 poems, and the performance will consist of 2 rounds. There will be a small pause after each performance in order to give the judges time to score. Please feel free to applaud during these intervals, but then settle right into good audience participation as soon as you see the next participant walk onto the stage. We will announce the school winner and runner-up via email later this afternoon. And finally, remember once again the essential role that you, the audience, play in an event like this. Great performances require great audiences. Be a great audience. Let's begin.
Hello, my name is Victoria Ayenza, and I will be reciting 100 Love Sonnets, 17 by Pablo Neruda. I don't love you as if you were a rose of salt, topaz, or arrow of carnations that propagate fire. I love you as one loves certain obscure things, secretly, between the shadow and the soul. I love you as the plant that doesn't bloom, but carries the light of those flowers hidden within itself. And thanks to your love, the tight aroma that arose from the earth lives dimly in my body. I love you without knowing how or when or from where. I love you directly without problems or pride. I love you like this because I don't know any other way to love except in this form, in which I am not, nor are you, so close that your hand upon my chest is mine. So close that your eyes close with my dreams.
I'm Yuval Barel, and I'm going to be reciting My Voice by Rafael Campo. To cure myself of wanting Cuban songs, I wrote a Cuban song about the need for people to suppress their fantasies, especially unhealthy ones. The song began by making reference to the sea, because the sea is like a need so great and deep it never can be swallowed. Then the song explores some common myths about the Cuban people and their folklore. The story of a little carrier boy mistakenly abandoned to the sea. The legend of a bird who wanted song so desperately he gave up flight. A queen whose strength was greater than a rival king's. The song goes on about morality, and then there is a line about the sea. How deep it is, how many creatures need its nourishment, how beautiful it is to need. The song is ending now because I cannot bear to hear it any longer. I call this song of needful love my voice.
I'm Dennett Brown. I will be reciting Break, Break, Break by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Break, 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 at the foot of thy crags, O sea, and I would that my tongue could utter the thoughts that arise in me. Oh well for the fisherman's boy, that he shouts with his sister at play. Oh well for the sailor lad, that he sings in his boat on the bay. And the stately ships go on to their haven under the hill, but oh for the touch of a vanished hand, and the sound of a voice that is still. Break, 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 at the foot of thy crags, O sea. But the tender grace of a day that is dead will never come back to me.
My name is Vicky Jia, and I will be reciting The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better came, because it was grassy and wanted bare. So as for that, the passing there had warned them really about the same. And both the morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
I'm Ella Maltzman, and this is On an Unsociable Family by Elizabeth Hands. Oh, what a strange parcel of creatures are we, scarce ever to quarrel or even agree. We all are alone, though at home altogether, except to the fire, constrained by the weather. Then one says, "'Tis cold," which we all of us know, and with unanimity answer, "'Tis so." With shrugs and with shivers, all look at the fire and shuffle ourselves and our chairs a bit nigher. Then quickly proceeded silence profound. A yawn epidemical catches around. Like social companions, we never fall out, nor ever care what one another's about. To comfort each other is never our plan. For to please ourselves truly is more than we can. Thank you.
After Apple Picking by Robert Frost. My long, two-pointed ladder's sticking through a tree toward heaven still, and there's a barrel that I didn't fill beside it. And there may be 2 or 3 apples I didn't pick upon some bough, but I am done with apple picking now. Essence of winter sleep is on the night, the scent of apples. I am drowsing off. I cannot rub the strangeness from my sight I got from looking through a pane of glass I skimmed this morning from the drinking trough and held against the world of hoary grass. It melted, and I let it fall and break. But I was well upon my way to sleep before it fell, and I could tell what form my dreaming was about to take. Magnified apples appear and disappear, stem end and blossom end, and every fleck of russet showing clear. My instep arch not only keeps the ache, it keeps the pressure of a ladder round, and I feel the ladder sway as the boughs bend. And I keep hearing from the cellar bin the rumbling sound of load on load of apples coming in. For I've had too much of apple picking. I am overtired of the great harvest I myself desired. There were 10,000 fruit to cherish in hand, lift down and not let fall, for all that struck the earth, no matter if not bruised or spiked with stubble, went surely to the cider apple heap as of no worth. One can see what will trouble this sleep of mine, whatever sleep it is. Were he not gone, the woodchuck could tell me if it's like his long sleep as I describe its coming on, or just some human sleep.
Hi, I'm Cameron. I'll be reciting Winter by Marie Ponceau. I don't know what to say to you, neighbor. as you shovel snow from your part of our street, neat in your Greek black. I've waited for chance to find words. Now, by chance, we meet. We took our boys to the same kindergarten 13 years ago when our husbands went. Both boys hated school, dropped out feral, dropped into separate troubles. You shift snow fast, back bent. But your boy killed himself. 6 days dead. My boy washed your walls when the police were done. He says we weren't friends and shakes his head. I told him it was great he had that gun and shakes. I shake. Close to you. Close to you. You have a path to clear, and so you do.
My name is Ellie Nolan, and I will be reciting Emily Dickinson's Hope is the Thing with Feathers, 3:14. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea. Yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me.
Hello, my name is Lily Sklar, and I will be reciting Ode to the Electric Fish That Eat Only the Tails of Other Electric Fish by Thomas Lux. Which regenerate their tails and also eat only the tails of other electric eels, presumably smaller, who in turn eat without consulting an ichthyologist. Eels are fish. I defer to biology's genius. I know little of their numbers and habitats other than they are river dwellers. Guess which river? I have only a note taken in reading or fever. I can't tell from my handwriting which. All I know is it seems sensible, sustainable. No fish dies. Nobody ever gets so hungry he bites off more than a tail. The sting, the trauma keeps the bitten fish lean and alert. The need to hide while regrowing a tail teaches guile. They'll eat smaller tails for a while. These eels themselves are odes.
Hello, I am Jordan Sundberg, and I will be reciting The Glories of Our Blood and State by James Shirley. The glories of our blood and state are shadows, not substantial things. There is no armor against fate. Death lays his icy hands on kings. Scepter and crown must tumble down, and in the dust be equal made with the poor, crooked scythe and spade. Some men with swords may reap the field and plant fresh laurels where they kill, but their strong nerves at last must yield. They tame but one another still. Early or late they stoop to fate, and must give up their murmuring breath when they, pale captives, creep to death. The garlands wither on your brow, then boast no more your mighty deeds. Upon death's purple altar now, see where the victim bleeds. Your heads must come to the cold tomb. Only the actions of the just smell sweet and blossom in their dust.
Hello, my name is Jeremy Taki. I'll be performing Silence by Thomas Hood. There is a silence where hath been no sound. There is a silence where no sound may be, in the cold grave under the deep, deep sea, or in the wide desert where no life is found, which hath been mute and still must sleep profound. No voice is hushed, no life treads silently, but clouds and cloudy shadows wander free, that never spoke over the idle ground, but in green ruins, in the desolate walls of antique palaces where man hath been, though the dun fox or wild hyena calls, and owls that flit continually between shriek to the echo, and the low winds moan. There the true silence is, self-conscious and alone.
Thus concludes round one. Let's applaud for all of our performers so far. It is tough work, what they do. And all of our high schoolers know that, as well as I think as our 8th graders. The idea of having to commit to memory the words of someone else is a very difficult thing to do. And then to convey the words of somebody else as though they are your own in front of a crowd of people while on a stage with a spotlight in your eyeballs is terrifying. And so, again, I'm just so proud of how courageous you guys all are. And so we will begin round two.
Hello, my name is Victoria Ayenza, and I will be reciting The Mortician in San Francisco by Randall Mann. This may sound queer, but in 1985, I held the delicate hands of Dan White. I prepared him for burial. By then, Harvey Milk was made monument, no myth by the years since he was shot. I remember when Harvey was shot, 20, and I knew I was queer. Those were the years. Levi's and leather jackets, holding hands on Castro Street, cheering for Harvey Milk, elected on the same day as Dan White. I often wonder about Supervisor White, who fatally shot Mayor Moscone and Supervisor Milk, who was one of us, a Castro queer. May 21st, 1979, a jury hands down the sentence. 7 years. In truth, 5 years for ex-cop, ex-fireman Dan White, for the blood on his hands. When he confessed that he had shot the mayor and the queer, a few men in blue cheered. And Harvey Milk? Why cry over spilled milk? Some wondered, semi-privately, for years. It meant one less queer. The jurors turned to White. If just the mayor had been shot, Dan might have had trouble on his hands. But the 12 who held his life in their hands maybe didn't mind the death of Harvey Milk. Maybe it was the second murder that offered him a shot at only serving a few years. In the end, he committed suicide, this Dan White. And he was made presentable by a queer.
"100 Love Sonnets, 17, by Pablo Neruda. I don't love you as if you're a rose of salt, topaz, or arrow of carnations that propagate fire. I love you as one loves certain obscure things, secretly between the shadow and the soul. I love you as the plant that doesn't bloom but carries the light of those flowers, hidden within itself, and thanks to your love, the tide aroma that arose from the earth lives dimly in my body. I love you without knowing how, or when, or from where. I love you directly, without problem or pride. I love you like this because I don't know any other way to love except in this form in which I am not, nor are you, so close that your hand upon my chest is mine, so close that your eyes close with my dreams.
I'm Dennett Brown. I will be reciting I Have a Rendezvous with Death by Alan Seeger. I have a rendezvous with death at some disputed barricade when spring comes back with rustling shade and apple blossoms fill the air. I have a rendezvous with death when spring brings back blue days and fair. It may be he shall take my hand and lead me into his dark land and close my eyes and quench my breath. It may be I shall pass him still. I have a rendezvous with death on some scarred slope of battered hill when spring comes round again this year and the first meadow flowers appear. God knows 'twere better to be deep, pillowed in silk and scented down, where love throbs out in blissful sleep, pulse nigh to pulse and breath to breath, where hushed awakenings are dear. But I've a rendezvous with death at midnight in some flaming town, when spring trips north again this year, and I to my pledged word am true. I shall not fail that rendezvous.
A Boat Beneath a Sunny Sky by Lewis Carroll. A boat beneath a sunny sky, lingering onward dreamily, in an evening of July. Children three that nestle near, eager eye and willing ear, pleased a simple tale to hear. Long has paled that sunny sky, echoes fade and memories die. Autumn frost have slain July. Still she haunts me, phantom-wise, Alice moving under skies never seen by waking eyes. Children yet, the tale to hear, eager eye and willing ear, lovingly shall nestle near. In a wonderland they lie, dreaming as the days go by, dreaming as the summers die. Ever drifting down the stream, lingering in the golden gleam. Life, what is it but a dream?
History textbook, America, by Joanne Balingit. I'd searched for Philippines in history class. The index named one page, moved on to Pierce. The making of America marched past my enigmatic father's place of birth. The week he died, some man we didn't know called up. This is his brother, one more shock, phoning for him. He died 3 days ago. The leaden black receiver did not talk. My uncle never gave his name or town. We never heard from him. Was it a dream? The earpiece roar dissolved to crackling sounds. A dial tone erased the Philippines. And yet my world still grows huge with maps crisscrossed, my history alive with all I've lost.
I'm Kara McNeil, and I will be reciting All This and More by Mary Carr. The Devil's Tour of Hell did not include a factory line where molten lead spilled into mouths held wide. No electric drill spiraling screws into hands and feet, nor giant pliers to lower you into simmering vats. Instead, a circle of light opened on your stuffed armchair whose chintz orchids did not boil and change. And the devil adjusted your new spiked antenna almost delicately, with claws curled and lacquered black, before he spread his leather wings to leap into the acid green sky. So your head became a TV hole, a gargoyle mirror. Your doppelganger, sloppy at the mouth and swollen at the joints, enacted your days in sinuous, slow motion, your lines delivered with a mocking sneer. Sometimes the frame froze, reversed, began again. The red eyes of a friend you cursed, your girl child, cowered behind the drapes, parents alive again and puzzled by this new form. That's why you crawled your way back to this life.
What Kind of Times Are These by Adrienne Rich. There's a place between two stands of trees where the grass grows uphill and the old revolutionary road breaks off into shadows near a meeting house abandoned by the persecuted who drifted off into those shadows. I've walked there at the edge of dread. But don't be fooled, this isn't a Russian poem. This is not somewhere else but here. Our country moving closer to its own truth and dread, its own way of making people disappear. I won't tell you where the place is, the dark mesh of the woods meeting the unmarked strip of light, ghost-ridden crossroads, leaf mold paradise. I know already who wants to buy it, sell it, make it disappear. And I won't tell you where it is, so why do I tell you anything? Because you still listen. Because in times like these, to have you listen at all, it's necessary to talk about trees.
The Ocean by Nathaniel Hawthorne. The ocean has its silent caves, deep, quiet, and alone. Though there be fury on its waves, beneath them there is none. The awful spirits of the deep hold their communion there, and there are those for whom we weep. The young, the bright, the fair. Calmly, the wearied seamen rest beneath their own blue sea. The ocean's solitudes are blessed, for there is purity. The earth has guilt, the earth has care. Unquiet are its graves. But peaceful sleep is ever there beneath the dark blue waves.
Backdrop addresses Cowboy by Margaret Atwood. Star-spangled cowboy sauntering out of the almost silly west. On your face, a porcelain grin, tugging a papier-mâché cactus on wheels behind you with a string. You are innocent as a bathtub full of bullets. Your righteous eyes, your laconic trigger fingers people the streets with villains. As you move, the air in front of you blossoms with targets, and you leave behind you a heroic trail of desolation. Beer bottles slaughtered by the side of the road, bird skulls bleaching in the sunset. I ought to be watching from behind a cliff or a cardboard storefront when the shooting starts, hands clasped in admiration. But I am elsewhere. Then what about me? What about the I confronting you on that border you are always trying to cross? I am the horizon you ride towards, the thing you can never lasso. I am also what surrounds you, my brain scattered with your tin cans, bones, empty shells, the litter of your invasions. I am the space you desecrate as you pass through.
Black History Month by Nikki Giovanni. If Black History Month is not viable, then the wind does not carry the seeds and drop them on fertile ground. Rain does not dampen the land and encourage the seeds to root. Sun does not warm the earth and kiss the seedlings and tell them plain, you're as good as anybody else. You've got a place here too.
Peligro by Stuart Dybek. Fire ran horrified from its ashes. In the afterglow, cinematic shadows fled from flesh and blood. Scars appeared, followed years later. Line?
Followed years later by their wounds.
Followed years later by their wounds. Blinks of red dinged relentlessly. But there was nowhere to stop for the train, pulling its wreckage.
All right, one final applause for every performer today. Though this year's Poetry Out Loud competition is now done, our celebration of precise words is not. And so we should all be grateful for the reminder of how precise language works today and practice it ourselves from here on out.